Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Today on episode 317, I was very lucky to have Jayson Johnson on the podcast. He's an award winning filmmaker, founder of Strike Five Films. And yeah, we talked about many of things, how he got started in the film industry, what sort of motivates him, keeps him going. We also talked about how he was a location scout for a period of time. We also went into discussing some of the problems with films today with regards to, how can I say, the decline in quality with the Marvel films as well. And yeah, with this podcast episode, we had to do it over sort of 2 days. We had technical difficulties, so basically, if you hear it start again halfway through, it's just because, hey, we had to like piece it together and Frankenstein it as well. So, nevertheless, please sit back, enjoy the podcast, enjoy the show. If you find good entertainment, education from this, please subscribe. It really does help. Have a good one, my friends, my life warriors. Enjoy. Peace. Go.
Go, go, go.
Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 316, I'm very lucky, privileged to have Jayson Johnson on the podcast today. I'm no relation, but hey, there you go. He's raising the roof. Yes, because he's an award-winning filmmaker, founder of Strike Five Films, and yeah, he is a busy, busy fella. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking me and having me on the show.
I'm happy to have you on the show. Happy to have you on the show. I have to ask now. Look, like how, like what brought you to the realm of filmmaking, of all things?
Um, I think filmmaking finds you as a person.
Hmm.
When I was a young lad, I used to always watch TV with my mom, soap operas and stuff like that, and I just enjoyed the dynamic between um how I'd see something on screen and how it affected me and my mom, and just how it nurtured that relationship. And as I got older, I was just like, yo, I want to do this for more people. So that kind of was the bug that kind of got implanted in me as a youth. So yeah, I've just been on that journey ever since.
Yeah, because like this is the thing. There are many a person which goes, I want to direct a film, I want to do this with film. And like but they normally want to be in front of the camera. Like, was there one sort of particular thing what was like, yes, I must be behind the camera? Because like, yeah, watching like stuff with your mother, that's all stuff in front of the camera and the back end is quite invisible, wouldn't you say? You know?
Yeah, I'd say so. And actually, I actually wanted to be an actor starting off. So I started off wanting to be an actor, going to all these auditions, and I'd audition for the role, and it'd be like a line of people, right? And they'd be like, you, not you, Jason, and you, and then I was just like, oh, well, how come it ain't me? So that was just like, okay, all right. And then after a couple of times of that, I felt like I wasn't gonna get picked. So I was just like, how can I make it? How can I rig it where I always get picked? And that's when I started saying, okay, I'm gonna make my own stuff, and I'm always gonna cast me in it. And that's kind of how I got behind the camera. But yeah, originally I wanted to be a talent.
I see, I see. Like, was there a particular genre which attracted you in, or was it just like, hey, let me do anything and anything as long as I'm there?
I tried my hat at comedy. I think that I have pretty good timing, so I think that you have to have timing and be open for that. So I tried that, but you know, as time went on, I would be open for anything. Like I'd love to get like someone to take a Glock and shoot me on screen, like I'd be dead and something. But yeah, I'm down for whatever though.
I see. Like,
But
what I have to ask, what is your favorite comedy movie?
my favorite comedy movie,
Yeah, because like, hey, if
uh,
you comedy. There must be, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I would say like I gotta go back to like the Eddie Murphy movies, like Beverly Hills Cop,
Yes.
48 Hours, Harlem Nights. Um, I gotta say, let's now I'm drawing a blank here. I gotta say, Girls Trip was funny. Um, there's something about Mary's funny. Just I just go on and on. I really like the classic films that really came out. They were funny, and that was like during a different time where you didn't have to worry about offending people. Because nowadays, you say something, and then there's a line of people saying, "Oh, well, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. You affected me, and you hurt my feelings," and I'm just like, "Oh my god." So
But let's just say something about Mary. I don't think it would make it today. Like
yeah,
one of my favorite comedies, which I know would never, never make it today. Uh, Blazing Saddles. You know,
yeah,
uh, that film hit hard, hit strong, and yeah, had me in stitches. But yes, there is no way it will be made today. Just like just riding
yeah.
into
That's
the horse, the sheriff, sir, and we'll leave it at that.
yeah.
Yeah.
uh, and that's a
So,
shame. It's a shame because uh, it's just comedy at the end of the day.
mm,
We all have to be able to laugh, and I think you can laugh at other people in a fun natured way. It doesn't have to be like a bad, like malicious way or anything like that. So I think we need to get back to that.
I think that's going to be, how can I put it, a tough one at this present time, with all what's going on in like your chosen field, because strikes, and many other things going on. We shall see what like takes it there. Like hopefully it will move in the right direction. You know. Um. So comedy, like, okay, so you was like casting yourself in your own productions, because hey, as I'm gonna say it, as you say it, you wanted to rig the game in your favor. Like, so
That's right.
what was it like doing your first production where you had to like stand there and go, okay, the camera goes over there,
Oh
and
yeah. Well, I didn't know anything. I just knew that I had a passion for this and that
mm,
I wanted to do it. So um, the first time I did it, I went on eBay and I bought a camera that was like, I don't know, $15. And it was a mini DV camera. It took tapes, and I got it, and I just taught myself how to edit and placement, etc. And for a long time, it was just me.
yeah,
And if I was doing like I used to do like these corny action movies, right? And I had like all these like dummies, so I would film me beating up the dummies, throwing the dummies off balconies and stuff like that. And it was just to kind of get the shot and experiment with like, what would it look like to, toss someone off of a balcony,
mm,
and what are the different ways you can capture that. But yeah, it was all a learning process, and still today is, just because I feel like you never really stop learning. You're trying to get better at your craft.
mm, mm. Uh, what would you say was, how can I put it, one of the more challenging lessons you picked up when you were starting out?
Um, when I started out, and you tell people your dream, and
Mm.
then they immediately they shit on it. It's just like I can't. Oh shit! I can't.
Oh,
Can I cuss?
you're all good. You're all
Oh,
good.
okay. I said,
Yeah.
"Oh shit! Can I cuss?" And I'm just like, "Oh." um, yeah.
Too late.
So you tell people your dream, and then
Yeah.
they immediately shit on it. They're just like, "Oh, you can't do that," and um, and they're projecting their insecurities and their failures on you.
Mm,
And when they see you doing it, you know um it's not like a word of affirmation. It's always a word of like, well, you'll do it, you'll make it this far, but next week it's all going to come tumbling down. And for a while I was like kind of buying into that. I was just like, well, I don't really know anyone in the industry. I didn't go to film school. I just have this passion, and sooner or later, maybe they're right. Maybe it's going to all come falling down. So I would say that was like the hardest thing for me to get over, that imposter syndrome, and listening to other people's like negative perceptions of me, because they knew themselves they couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, like this is the thing. I think too many people in like, well, when you're trying to do something grand, something bigger than yourself, like yeah, people who are around you sometimes they don't like it because it just, as you say, they project their own insecurities onto yourself, but it also puts a spotlight on their life where they're not actually going, like they might want to go get and do something grand and big themselves, but that's a spotlight on their lives to like go, you're not doing it. Why are you not doing it? Then like a list of excuses can come out, which they're not very happy with, but they will still, like, you know what I mean, turn and like still take their shots, until one day, hopefully in the near distant, not too far in the like distant future, you become hyper successful and like yeah, really making it, and they'll be coming to you for a job, no doubt.
Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting. But I have to say, it's always your family that are the ones that don't think that you can do it, or are the ones that are always talking trash about you behind your back. And I
Mm,
don't know what that is, because any type of support I've ever gotten has mostly come from outside of my family. It's come from people I've met along the way, people I didn't really even know, and then just like friends that, um, yeah, I think you have like a select small group of friends that are down with you from the beginning. They're saying,
mm.
"Hell yeah, you could do it. I believe in you," and then they stay true to that. But for the most part, yeah, your family is just non-existent as far as the support on this journey.
Yeah, I think with like journeys are a bit like an American football team. Okay, with the American football team, like it's not like yeah, just this is one, like it's a team, but there's teams within the teams. And that's how I think some friends go. Like, okay, yeah, if you want to move the ball up the field, you've got your offensive team. If you want to defend your position, you've got your defensive team. Then you've
Mm.
got your special teams, and then, like, yeah, whatever else comes from that. When it comes to certain things, like, okay, I've heard doing something creative, starting your own business, everything like this, there are going to be certain friends who can walk with you on that side of things. They can be on that team. But when it comes to like, yeah, wanting to just like say, yeah, I want to watch a film or like, yeah, just hanging, you're going to have different friends which like go with that. So it's one of those things. Sometimes I think people get too hung up with they want, yeah, this one friend has to be all these things when it's sometimes very difficult to like you can never be all these things to a like to one person because that's not how it functions. You might be like I think many times friends can be very sort of specialized in things, not in the case of using a friend or anything like this, but having aligned interests or like you know what I mean. If they're not your friends, like yeah, being a mutual like uh, a mutual oh my God, why am I blanking? Like a
You
mutual
get it all the time.
acquaintance, yeah, who will walk with you on a particular project, and you take things forward from there. Like, like with regards to sort of finding these people, like where, like, what's have you had like there's a big group of people you found, or have there been sort of one or two like people which have helped shift the needle for you?
That's a good question. So I feel like, at least I think everyone's journey is different. Mine, I found people in just like little unexpected places, like a camp. One of the DPs I work with, he
Hmm.
was a janitor at the time when I met him at the gym that I went to, and he was telling me that he wanted to be in this space, and He went on to learn how to mess with cameras, and he got to be really good at it. So that's one place that I never thought that I would meet anyone. He was just a janitor at the time. Now he's doing fantastic things. The makeup artist I work with, I met her on set with on another project, and another project that I knew this guy and said that I would come and support him, but to be honest, not really like my type of guy. And I was thinking that all the crew that I was gonna meet were not my type of people. But I ended up meeting his makeup artist and hit it off with her. And then there's other people that you just meet at film mixers and etc. So it's just over time I've met people just in like little pockets of areas, and then we kind of clicked into our band of misfits, and it just works for our particular thing.
All right. A band of misfits. Like, look.
Yeah.
Like,
That sounds very mafioso, but it's true.
look, as long as no one's sleeping with the fishes tonight, that's all
It's
good.
our thing, yeah.
Like, this is the thing. Like when you started this out, and yes, without your sort of band of misfits, like, was there sort of like, okay, you have your dream, but like, what was like the sort of like first sort of either goal, target, or milestone you wanted to hit along the way?
I set it off really low. I wanted to at least work somewhere where they were actually making film projects.
Mm.
So at the time, I had this is after I kind of learned to teach myself editing and just kind of some of the basics. But I realized there was a lot that I didn't know about the industry. So I put together a resume, and to be honest, I fabricated a whole bunch of places I worked, said I worked here, 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 here. And I didn't work at any of the places, but
Okay.
under them, I would put the skills that I did know. And then I went door knocking, so I just went and I knocked on all these doors where it said no soliciting. And I just, I'm going to knock anyway. And the majority of them said no.
Mm-hmm.
Two of them said maybe. And then one of them said yes. And that's where I worked for 3 years, working in like what the United States would call bad TV. And these are like shows like Wives with Knives, I Almost Got Away with It, My Criminal Fantasy, stuff like shows like that, Um, and that's where I at least learned how to do it. But that was like initially that was like my first milestone. It's just like I have to figure out how they do it, how it's done as a business. And
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to learn.
Right. With like with this sort of door opening, like, because there are people which were like, oh yeah, you must go to the biggest place and everything like this, and you make your mark that way. Where you went, like, was there sort of just like multiple realms of opportunity where you could just like pick up little skills here and there, or was it just a case of, yeah, you got to see the overall? I mean, you get to see the whole picture rather than seeing a small segment. You know what I mean?
Uh, Luckily for me, it was a production company that it had like everything in house.
Mm.
So they had like a writing team, they had a producers team, they had a financial management team, ideas team. So that was really cool. But I started off as a writer, and I'm not great as a writer at this time, especially at this time. It's
Yeah.
something that I know I've acquired a skill on how to do it, but at this time I couldn't put a sentence together. But I lied on my resume and said that I could. So they get me into this writing room, and there's like, this guy, he's got ideas, but he can't write. So they instead of letting me go, they put me onto the production management team,
Okay.
and I became like a glorified gopher. I go do this, call this person, do that. And, from there, I worked my way up to production manager, learning how, to balance the book, making sure that checks went here, this was paid, permits were done here, etc. So, it was interesting, yeah.
Well, so like when you were in that I have to ask, when you were in that writer's room, like day one, and everything was going on, like, like, did you suggest a line, or what was the first thing you wrote for this room before it was like, I see.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So first you do like first you do a lot of research. You go on the internet and you're looking for a real story,
Yeah.
because it was just kind of like a dramatization of what really happened, and they would go and interview the people, and then they would kind of recreate it. So there was a period where we're looking for stuff, and I was successful in finding stuff. Although at the time I was not a good writer, I was a really good researcher at the time.
Okay.
But eventually it came to the time to write something. So they would say, Jayson, that's a great story. Go ahead and write the pitch. So I would write something, and I would I would go online and I would copy paste and try to Frankenstein a pitch together. That's how I
Oh,
was trying to do it. And for the most part, it didn't work.
oh,
I give it to the showrunner, and he'd be like, this is in present tense, this is in past tense, this is in first person, this is in third person." And the pitch would come back, and it would just be like red, the highlight red, 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 X, cross off that, and it was just like, oh my god, I'm getting fired today.
yes, I,
But
yes, I, that,
but eventually they called me into the office, and they were like, they were really sweet about it. They didn't say, "Yo, you cannot write." They were just like, we like your skill set, but in a different area," and that's how they kept me. So, but that's how they broke it to me, real smooth, like though.
I bet you're like, no, but I'm a writer. They're like, no, no, no.
Yeah, it was like, nigga, please.
Yeah, okay. You heard that? You want me to go over that? Yeah, you go over there. It's okay. Stand.
Yeah.
Anything else? But so after being there for 3 years, yeah, what was the sort of I need to get out there by myself?
um, After 3 years, I had really used the time to kind of exponentially grow my knowledge. They had this program where you could take film equipment over the weekend, and I would take film equipment home with me every weekend. I would get people that worked there that were interested in doing stuff just pro bono,
Mm,
and we would make projects, and it was just like every single weekend. He was just like, I was either producing, directing, acting, doing something.
yes.
So at the end of that 3 years, it was like I had gone to film school. I think in that 3 years we had made like, I don't know, 40 short films or something like that, a crazy
Hmm.
amount of short films, and I had really developed my knowledge as far as just what it meant to be a producer, and how to get stuff done. And then also at the end of that 3 years, they had lost a lot of their kind of gravy train shows, and now they were looking to do commercials. And the breaking point for me was, they were like, "Hey Jayson, go look up this grill, like, grill that you cook food on.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
want to do a commercial." And I was just like, I ain't trying to do all that. So that was the beginning of the end for me. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to take the knowledge that I have, and I'm going to go into the freelance industry." And once again, I fabricated my resume, and said that I was a location manager when I knew nothing about it. This is a reoccurring theme with me.
I just, I just like I'm getting this picture of you that's like you show up, it's like, yeah, put on a hat, little moustache. Like, yes, I'm this. I know you're
Yeah.
not. You come back again, I'm this. And you're like, okay, go on then. Now, being a location manager, that's like, if anyone can hear this, that's if you like that, my baby girl is like, yeah, screaming outside the door. But, but yeah, but like, did becoming a location manager, did that go better than being a writer?
It did. Well, kind of.
Oh, okay, come
So
on.
I started off. I got hired by this guy named Wilson Wu, and he was like the self-proclaimed location king of California at the time. Um, he he had done everything. He had done like TV shows, commercials, just everything. And the first job was a Xfinity commercial, and I worked for him on that project, and I told him, well, it's great to work under you, but I'm a great location manager too, even though I didn't know anything about it. And he said, well, if you're so great, I'm going to give you a Facebook job that I can't figure out how to do. And you have 2 days before we have to send them something. They're looking for a particular type of house. They're
Yes.
looking for a particular type of street, and etc. And he showed me, like the example of the house. And I said, wait a minute, I know exactly that house. I know exactly where it's at because it's right down the street from my friend's house. Um, just freak coincidence.
Yeah.
So I went to that house, and I somehow got in. I don't know if I told them that I was like a handyman or whatever, but I got into the building. And then I knocked on the people's house, and I said, look, I'll give you $700 to film here. And they were like ecstatic. And they were just like, okay, we'll do it. And that was the first day. So then the next day I went back to him and I said, I'm really having a hard time finding this location. It's harder than I thought it was, even though I had it. And that bought me like 2 or 3 more days of salary. Even though I had it. So then finally I sent them like a bunch of houses that I knew they didn't want. This
Yeah.
house, this house, this house. No, 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 no. We really want this one house. And then finally, last day, I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. I found it. And I sent it to them. And they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then from that's how I started. But yeah, it was took a little bit of finagling to get it, but yeah. That was how I was doing it. But yeah.
You
Uh,
say the hustle and flow. There you go. The hustle and flow. Okay. I like it. I
you
like
gotta
it.
fake it till you make it. That's what they say. So it's like,
Yeah. No, like this is the thing. I have nothing wrong with that. Like, yeah. I'm just very surprised that the people who own the house, if it was a Facebook ad, like, look, Facebook has
oh,
had more.
you don't tell them it's Facebook. You
No, I'm
you you,
sure.
you, just, you just tell them a slightly known organization is interested in doing a commercial here.
Yeah.
Because if you say, well, Facebook is interested, and they're just like, oh,
Sure.
Facebook, I want $5,000. I want you know I want 15 racks to do it. So you undersell it. It's a lot like playing poker. You're like, maybe I have something, maybe I don't, and then you got like all spades.
Yeah.
So
You know what? I don't want to play you at a game of poker because I. That's like going to. I will be sitting there with all with aces and stuff like this. No chance. 'Cause I'm all in.
yeah, it's like does he have something? Does he not? I don't know.
Why does this not compute? What am I doing wrong? But so how long were you a location manager for, or was it just like, yeah? Sporadic.
I was a location manager for probably about a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2 years.
Right. And
Um,
was it freelance or was it a case of you worked for like Wilson Wu? Was it Wilson Wu?
it was freelance. After I worked for Wilson Wu that one time and got
Yeah.
that Facebook job, I didn't have to work for him anymore. It was like it was it was I guess that was like an incredible endeavor for me to get that on my first time out. So I set off of the success of the Facebook gig, I got a lot of other gigs. So all of a sudden, like Amazon, Netflix, all these shows that started to give me a ring to work on their projects, some
Mm.
short films, etc. So yeah, I was interviewing, and I was just like, in the interview, I was thinking to myself, I have no idea what I'm doing, but please hire me. So
It's like this is the thing. Finding locations. That's still like it's what I don't like. People don't understand about the sort of I think the industry, and sometimes this takes a little bit of getting my head to work. That is a fairly decent paying job if you get regular work, isn't it?
yeah, I was at the height of it, I was probably commanding about $650 to $700 a day. Um, and I was probably, yeah, it was good. At the height of it, I was probably reckoning about $15,000 a month, just doing location managers gigs. And a lot of times with a location manager gig, uh, you'll only really work like maybe 2 to 3 jobs a month,
Mm,
because the projects last over time. Usually they'll give you about a week to 10 days to uh, scout and find locations that can be put up as potentials, and then they select a primary, and then they select a backup, and then
mm,
from there you enter into a legally binding contract with the location, and you want to make sure that there's a lot of details that are covered. Kind of just some general things are, you want to make sure that there is enough parking.
yeah.
You want to make sure that there's some type of food service that can be either brought to the location or the crew can quickly go to, that's adjacent to the location. Uh, Sufficient bathrooms, and then the time to film and to get out, etc. So generally speaking, that's what a location manager would do. And yeah, I thought of it as it's just like throwing a house party.
Mm.
My parents would leave when I was young. I would throw house parties, and then we would all pitch up and clean it up, and it was like nothing ever happened. So that's what I thought it was like, and I've been doing that since I was like in junior high. So it was just like, this is the same exact thing, except I'm getting paid for it.
There you go. Yes, a very happy Jason indeed. A very happy Jason. There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. So with this, like, was that the like? Were you just sort of building up contacts and like connections to take you to like basically get in? Yeah, strike five films created.
Yeah, I think that I was building up confidence, learning what other people were doing, just kind of creating a local name for myself. Um,
Mm,
that was really it. I feel like I've always had the ideas and wanted to um, make the films, but along the way, I've had to become a higher version of myself. I've had to learn skills that I never thought that I would need to do, such as
mhm.
writing. I
Yep.
finally got pretty good at that. Um, and that's something that I didn't think that I would have to do, because I was just like, I'll just, I'll be the guy, whatever that meant. And then I'll hire person A, B, C, D, and kind of toss it like a salad. and the finished product would be like a film that was either produced or directed by me. But along the journey, I've learned that a good director, good producer, or whomever is head of a project has to know a little bit about everything. They don't have to be an expert, but they should know the basics of it, because you're all of a sudden you're dealing with contracts and pay, and for example, I could be working with the sound guy and he's like, my rate is $10,000 a day,
Mm.
and if I didn't know that that's BS, then I might write a check. Well, probably not me because I'm cheap, but the average person might write a check and be like, "Oh, $10,000, okay," So you have to know what their rate is, what to look out for, what's good, what's not, uh, who's got a good track record, etc. So
Mm. Go, baby, go.
I like it.
Ah, hello, my friends, my life warriors. Yes, welcome back to, you could say, part two of this podcast. Like, if you're watching the video, let's just say, like, clothes are changed, clothes are changed, and basically new stickers. And yeah, both of us are wearing headphones, where, I mean, it wasn't like that before. But yes, I'd like to welcome Jason back. How are you today, sir?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me back. Part
Yeah,
two of this little discussion. I'm ready.
yes, indeed, indeed. Like, yeah, last time we spoke, good God. Like, you know what? It feels like it's so long ago that Barbenheimer wasn't a thing at the time. Like, yeah, now it is, it's come, it's gone. And yeah, the face of cinema has changed. Now, with all of the things which have gone on since we last spoke, like, you've been on holiday. Where did you go on holiday to exactly?
I went to Mexico City,
Ah,
and had a fantastic time down there. It's uh, somewhere that I frequent a lot. It's kind of like my second home these days.
Mexico City. Like, wow. Like, this is the thing. Like, to many a person, when you go Mexico City, it's not like it's the results. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh yeah, I think Mexico City. I think 30 million people in one place, and wild. What's it like out there?
It's a lot like, or at least the area that I'm going to. It's a lot
Mm,
like Beverly Hills. My girlfriend lives in the Polanco district, which is all like nightclubs, ritzy restaurants, and just uh, just tourist attractions. So it's a lot like Beverly Hills. The houses are big. There's lots of stuff to do, lots of places to eat. The only difference is most people exclusively speak Spanish, so
mm.
that would be like the only difference I would see. But it's pretty Beverly Hills to me.
Okay, like Mexico City, Beverly Hills. I'm liking
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like, so is it like? Do you travel elsewhere in the world, or is it mostly in, like, well, states?
Um, I
And
I have traveled to a lot of places, not as much as I'd like, so I'm adding to that. But so far, I've been to Colombia, Cuba, Dominican Republic. Uh, I've been to pretty much all the states, with the exception of like Alaska and Vermont,
mm,
Canada, Italy, Scotland, UK, and I'm forgetting something else. But yeah, maybe I'll think of it. Maybe I won't. But yeah, but I've been to some places. Yeah.
yeah, I can imagine. Like, look, the reason why, one of the reasons why I ask is because, yeah, you've been a filmmaker now for many a year over in the States.
Hmm.
Like, there was a British filmmaker who did The Raid, right? He, like, was a British filmmaker in the UK for the longest time, then up sticks and went to, like, yeah, I believe Bangkok, when, like, basically was like, okay, I'm going to make one of the greatest action films of all time. would you consider like going over abroad and yeah, like starting up something over there?
100%, 1000%. Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
wait a
Yes,
sounds
because that appeals to my desire to travel, to see
hmm
different cultures, to meet other people, and just to, really soak it in, because, I feel that travel is the best teacher, so you get to meet people from different cultures and experiences and just learn how, we're different, but at the same time, how you're same in the same regard. So yeah, 100%. Yeah.
100%. Like, do you think you'll ever do see something like a documentary, like you know what I mean, of your travels, or basically like of a particular area or culture?
Um, I guess I wouldn't outrule it. I guess I'd like to see what the setup would be. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if I live like a exciting enough life where people would want to film or follow me around and film me. They They'd probably put the audience to sleep if that were the case. I mean, I don't know. So
Look, all I've got to say, like, okay, as I sit here, let's just say this, like, one of us had a successful location business, earning yeah 6 figures a year, well as like deciding to like yeah, also having the talent to like do their own film production and yeah, making their own films and everything like this. Mm, that one of us on this like on this podcast and it's not me, like wow, you sound so dull, you sound so boring, yeah.
you'd be surprised. I mean, I don't know. So most of the time, I'm sitting around drinking coffee, trying to figure out the next move. But yeah.
Hey, like powerful moves come through coffee, and I don't mean a morning move, that's another story. It's like yeah, but yeah, like this is the thing, like it's one of those things where I think we touched on it lightly or like in the first half of the podcast, the new sort of challenges which are coming up in the movie industry where phew, like people like the writer strike, actor strike, and everything sort of going into artificial intelligence, chat gpt, and everything like this, like if I remember rightly, you were okay with it. If I might be wrong, but yeah.
No, no, I am okay with it. I think it's actually a great thing when you
Mm,
think about it. Chat GPT
mm,
is essentially like a tool. Like money is a tool,
mhm,
scissors is a tool, and these are things that are going to make your life easier. So I think that when a new tool comes out that's revolutionary, the knee jerk reaction is people just get scared of it. If you think to like automobiles, people were walking or riding horses or whatever they were doing, and then this car zips right by them, and they're like, "Oh, I can't get in that thing. I'm gonna die." You know, Same probably thing with planes. I don't want to get in that thing. I'm gonna die. And I think people just they look at stuff that's a new technology, new tool, and they just get scared. And it's just like there's no reason to because it's just a tool and it's gonna make our lives better.
yeah, because like this is the thing. Like I can understand where some people are coming from, where they might fear it because it's like okay, like yeah, like not Chat GPT 3.5, but Chat GPT 4 and what is ever going to come after it. It can like doing this like outline of it. Well, no one should just use chat gpt like give me a script because
Yeah.
yeah, you don't know what it's going to pump out, but like it to go yes, I like a script or like a structure in this particular style with this and being say giving it a constraint of an hour and a half. I've got to say filmmakers today don't know how to do things in an hour and a half. It is ridiculous. Like 3 hours plus for a film. No,
Yeah,
it's like
that's too much. Like I'll give you an example of how I think I would use it. So let's say we're writing something and like our protagonist comes to like this fork in the road. and
Yeah.
we kind of like painted ourselves in the corner of how we're going to get him to, take the path that will eventually move him forward. So, you could say, "Hey, Chat GPT, this is our setup. What would be a logical next step?" And it'll probably give you a bunch of ideas, and
Mm,
you can use those ideas or not. But maybe in thinking about those ideas, that sparks the your own creative idea. So I look at it like it's just a bunch of ideas. You're throwing things out, and it could be a point of inspiration. So
mm.
that's how I kind of think that I would use it.
I see. Just okay. No, well, I think if you use it like that, it's not. It's one of those things where I think it would be a, yeah, as you say, a useful tool. I think some people are just like there. I think there's going to be too many people which will just click, copy, paste, and that's where I think a lot of the fears are. And with regards to sort of the rewrite side of things, that's where I heard a lot of complaints going down. Yeah,
Hmm.
but doing things of well, I can see that's where a lot of most of the like latest Marvel stuff has been coming from. Just copy, paste, and away we go. That's
Yeah.
not been good.
It has not been good. You know what's funny? I've been watching a lot of film critiques on Marvel and just Disney IP in general lately, and just how it's this fourth phase was not very well received by people.
No, and this is like one of the things at the time when they launched it, I thought it was an outstanding idea to do it,
Hmm.
but I think it's the biggest mistake they've done. Disney Plus.
I'd agree because you know the problem with streaming is that there's this push to keep making stuff and to keep doing it at a breakneck speed. But when you do that, the quality goes down, because
Mm,
you're rushing. It's just like we have 30 days to push something out. And then, so the writers write something, they go on set, they film it, and then they're editing, and, you start to make shortcuts, and, you're just trying to get this stuff out as soon as possible. And
yeah.
anytime you do that, it's just not going to be good. And that's it's oversaturation.
Mm. Yeah, because like something like She-Hulk, right?
Mm.
Like the internet had a lot of stuff to say about it. They were like people were losing their mind about it. But it's one of those things where it's a court like it should be predominantly a court drama with maybe a little bit of punching here and there. Like or like yeah, a little bit of whatever superhero bit comes in, but it should be a richness of the writing. Like I have been watching like a Boston Legal show from like the early noughties,
Uh-huh.
and with regards to how that it's a law, you know what I mean? It's a law TV show, pretty much like your LA law and everything like this, but the writing of that when it's sort of dealing with sort of complex subject matters of the time, which in comparison to today, it seems quite tame. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but the writing, the like the sort of word of law, and just being able to like go, yes, this is what it's about. Boston Legal, something which was, oh my god, almost, oh my lord, almost 15 years ago. That
Yeah.
holds up so much better, and yet they couldn't actually work out how to do that. Didn't have to be complicated, just good writing. And like they have a great actress who can like do it, but they just didn't.
Did you know that a lot of the writers had no understanding of writing law dramas at all? Uh, I've never seen. I didn't get a chance to watch She-Hulk, and
Mm,
from the reviews.
I don't think I ever want to. But um, I'm watching where they didn't even know how to write a law drama, and I'm like, well, that's you missed the assignment. You know, that's what it's supposed to be about. It says attorney at law in the title, so you should know something about attorneys and law and She-Hulk too. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, no, but I think that is not. I think that is a major thing about much of this whole streaming like platforms. As you say, they're trying to churn out as much as possible with people who don't actually. Well, look, it'll be like me, like going, okay, let me put out something about like the law or like football, American or like you know what I mean, worldwide football, or as you guys call it, soccer. Uh, I don't know a lot of it. I know a small bit, a teeny bit, but to sort of pad out like okay, an hour each and every like for an hour episode over like 12 weeks to 24 weeks. No, not at all. Now, do you find it difficult to sort of like get avoid that temptation to go down that sort of route of how can I say lower quality, but just gets attention. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do. So, like, for example, my last film that I did was in 2021, and we
Hmm.
haven't done anything since because we don't have the right resources, i.e., money, and we haven't found the right idea to even do a low budget project. So, um, I know that the currency of today is attention, and it would be easy to just make something and then to, put it out in the film festivals or even to throw it online. But I just, I just think you do yourself such a disservice when you put out junk. It's just you, you only have one name, and you want to try to do and protect that name and put out the best stuff that you can. So although I'm getting really antsy, I want to do something really bad. But I just don't want to do junk. I don't want that. I don't want people to be like, oh, it's Jayson Johnson. He's associated with trash. It's just, I
Yeah,
don't want that. So I guess, we have the waiting game until a good opportunity comes up.
yeah. How do you actually select your like projects? Because we didn't like discuss this because it's like one of those things, as you say, waiting for the right project to come along, and like you know what I mean, like, waiting for a great opportunity can
Hmm.
sometimes take a very long time. You know.
Yeah. So I like to start with a popular something that's popular in the lexicon of like life, and something that I have some experience with. So the last feature that I wrote was about counterfeit wine. I think that
Ah.
that is an interesting thing because there's not very many projects on counterfeit wine. And then I also have a connection to that because when I first moved to California, I was a wine steward, and I knew nothing about wine. And I thought that there was a lot of things that were funny about it. There were a lot of things that were pretentious about it, and just a lot of things that I just didn't know. So I would be naturally interested and curious about a project like that, and I think that that would translate onto screen.
Yeah, there was oh god, don't ask me the name of the guy, but there's a story, a very famous story of this guy who did so much counterfeit wine. It was mad. It was a madness on the level. Uh, he even sold wine, like counterfeit wine, much to his chagrin, to the Koch brothers.
Yep.
Like yeah, so it's like yeah,
It was
like,
Rudy Kirian. I may be butchering his last name, but Rudy Kirian. He was from Indonesia, and
yeah.
yeah, I saw that movie, and for whatever reason, it really inspired me to just start writing because I didn't. I have a couple of ideas that I had kind of made into features, but I didn't really have anything that was could be done for relatively a cheaper price. And
Hmm.
after watching that documentary, I said I got it. And it just totally just made sense, and I just started writing counterfeit cabernets.
Counterfeit Cabernets. I like it. I like it. Like, like being a wine sommelier, to like, yeah, watching the documentary, getting you to that. Like, so if there was like, if there was a project, what you would like a sort of thing, is there a little itch you've got for a particular project at this moment in time? I know you're itching to go, but is it a case of you've got an idea, but you're just waiting to get a couple of pieces together?
Yeah, I got lots of ideas. I have I have an idea to do a skateboard bandit film. Um, I live near San Francisco, where the hills are pretty steep, and I just think that the visual of someone robbing a bank and getting away on a skateboard is just, I think that would be awesome. Um, and I've actually had this idea for quite some time. When I learned about this kid that actually did that, and he went to prison, so me being me, I wrote him and I said, "Tell me your story." And it was somewhat interesting, not something that was really cinematic, but um, it was basically his girlfriend broke up with him, and he just went on the deep end and started robbing banks for whatever reason. So
It's like okay,
yeah,
but
I
it's
was like,
okay.
okay,
I was like, she ruined my life.
yeah,
God damn it!
I,
It's
I
like,
got to rob a bank. It's just like,
yeah, I got to rob a bank on a skateboard.
yeah. And the crazy thing about it was, so I think he did it 3 times, and he got lazy on the fourth time, and he just parked his truck down the street, and he rode a skateboard to his truck, and then he got in his truck and drove away, and someone happened to see his license plate, and that's ultimately how he got caught. So he should have just stuck with what he was doing.
No, wait, no. That's amazing. No, because like this is the thing. Okay, like when you say someone, yeah, he robbed a bank and got away on a skateboard. Okay, you're like, got away? Really? Come on.
Yeah,
Yes, I go once, twice. What? 3 times? How? That's amazing. But on the 4 times, like, yeah, you know what? I'm tired of
yeah.
pushing with
He's
my
like,
leg.
yeah, I'm pretty good at this now. Let me just go down the street and go away. Yeah, but
It's like, oh, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be riding his skateboard in prison. It's
yeah.
like, oh my God. But that's amazing. Getting away with it 3 times. Like, I was going to say there was a film way back in the day. Oh, it starred actually Tom Cruise's ex-wife Nicole Kidman when she was way younger, like just a teenager herself.
Uh-huh.
Called BMX Bandits. Like,
Really?
yeah.
I,
So,
I didn't I didn't
so
know about that. I'm gonna have to look.
oh
I'm gonna have to look that up on YouTube or something.
yeah, like put it this way, I swear I'm very sure it's Nicole Kidman, but yeah, BMX Bandits. So look, I'm just saying you
Okay.
should do it.
Yeah.
You should do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah.
I've written just under 80 pages. So I just finished doing like the second round of editing, and I'll
Mhm.
probably do maybe 4 or 5 rounds of editing, making sure that it's good. Um, right now it's coming together, but there's a lot of rough edges on it.
Like, so how many like pages will you have to write to get it to be a full film? Because 80 pages editing, that's either would that be bringing it up or editing it down?
Probably editing it down. So in film, you usually estimate one page equals 1 minute. So that would be 80 minutes. So that would be what, 120 minutes.
Yeah.
So that would be maybe for a drama a little bit short. So maybe you'd want it to be about 90 to 94 to 5 pages, and that'd be about an hour and 35 minutes. So, but this second round, I'm going to fix a lot of things that um, are not like complete arcs or plot points, because the idea is like, I'm sure you've seen Disney do this a lot, where they'll bring something up and then you'll never hear about it again. Like, oh, I gotta call my mom. It's so important, and then they pay so much attention to that person calling the mom, and then the show ends, and they're just like, well, what happened with that conversation? And so,
Yeah.
so I have a lot of like things that I introduced, but I haven't finished kind of bringing those to a complete close yet. So, that will be on the subsequent, edits, making sure that all that is, closed, it makes sense, it connects to the character, etc. So, uh, it's a lot like doing a sculpture. You're just chiseling it down, smoothing it, sanding it down. So, that's kind of the process.
Yeah. And, oh, it must be incredibly tricky because what you use the like word sculpture because you can like carve a little bit too much and you don't actually like it must be difficult to like sort of see it all come together if just in your mind's eye until you like go, okay, we're filming. You're like, oh wait.
Yeah, yeah. No,
It's like,
you want to really and this is the hard part, when you're writing or you're making a film project, you want to bring in people that will critically say, that doesn't make any sense.
mm,
You actually you want those people. I mean, maybe not, people that just do it just to kind of, get under your skin, but but you want people that critically come in and say, hey, that doesn't make sense. What if this happens? And how are you going to fix that? How are you going to mitigate that problem?
mm,
So yeah, I really like to have people that, ask me questions like that and then force me to go back to reevaluate and really think about it.
I hear you. Maybe like yeah, maybe come up with a solution to help fix it. Maybe as well,
Hmm.
which not everyone does that. It's like, I see the problem. Do you have a solution for me?
You're like, no.
It's like you're yeah, you're about as much help as a chocolate
Yeah.
teapot.
Yeah.
Oh, but
but you ultimately you would want those people to have some skill in it. You don't want them just saying that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, great. What's let's figure out a path forward. So
mm,
yeah, you have to have the right mix of creatives that can execute.
yeah, no, like this is the thing. Like we're like we did touch on yeah, sort of building team, I believe, in the last one. But like yeah, when you're bringing other people in, like you say, you need a mix of the creative. Like yeah, what is it you look for as like to be part of your crew? What is the sort of key things you look for?
Honestly, um, I like to find people that I know that I can work with. When I
Mm,
first was starting in this industry, I had a passion and I wanted to be on other people's crews, and they would never give me an opportunity. And at that time, I didn't understand it, but now I do, because whomever you work with, you want to make sure that you get along with them,
mm,
and that you can everyone can kind of check the time card and then come in and leave your ego at the door, um, and that is surprisingly hard, when you're working with people, because you have a lot of ideas, and people, sometimes you get people that feel some type of way, they want to come in and tell you what to do, even though you may be the one that paid for the film, got wrote the film, got the actors, got all the equipment. They just want to come in and it's like, now I'm the boss now, like Captain Phillips. Look at me, I'm the boss now.
Look at me. I am the producer now. It's like, it's like, it's like, one, that's a very bad accent. Two, no, you're not.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
out.
Yeah, so it's just like I've had like nightmare projects where I brought someone in that I thought that was this person works hard and we're gonna get along and it's gonna be great, and then you get a little tiny bit of press, and then they just change into a completely different person, and I'm like, who are you? It's just like, and it's just like the idea of fame is a very seductive thing, and we're not even to that point yet, but people get this idea of fame and they just they just do whatever they can for clout. I'll never understand it, but people are just seduced by clout.
Yeah, but like this is a thing with regards to say clout and ego, like it's the film industry. It's very much sort of like built on that. Like it's built on that. So like as soon as you hear like if someone's worked on a project which has made X amount of money, or like it was being like they've like I can see many a person like well, obviously that means I'm better than you because I've worked on this project. They may have had like I don't know, like a sliver of this project. They may have like put in the credits at the end of the film, but it's like going right. But you know what I mean? It gets to them.
Yeah,
It trying to keep that in check must be incredibly hard, you know.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
mm,
I remember I went to LA to network, and
mm,
at this time I had produced a couple of Bollywood films
ah,
as a line producer, and that's a it's not the it's not the top role, but it's an important role in getting the film done. So I went down there to network, and so I'm at this house that it is actually the guy who created Golden Girls and Desperate Housewives,
oh my God,
and so
Jesus!
I got it. Yeah, I got invited to this house, and it's filled with filmmakers, right? And so they're asking me, what have you done? And I'm just like, well, I've I've done this and I've done that. And I think
Mm.
me, I'm a modest kind of a dude. And I'm not saying it like,
Oh no,
well,
no,
oh, I
he's
did
so
this. Uh
people don't listen to him. He's so self-centered. It's
yeah.
like, oh,
So
me.
I would say that, and the next person would be like, well, when I worked on the Pirates of the Caribbean, uh and then the next person would be like, well, when I worked on I forgot what film they were talking about, but they were like one upping each other. And so then, we live in the internet age where you can just immediately look stuff up, right? They were a PA. They were a production assistant. And I'm just like, well, why would you even mention that like that? You were like the lowest of the low. It's
No,
crazy.
yeah, no, that is crazy. But like the whole thing is like, and I can like I only seen like sort of LA Hollywood through the lens of like, hey, some form of media here and some form of media there, and I think maybe was it LA Story, starring, oh, why am I blanking on his name? Ah, like it will come to me later. But like, yeah, but LA Story kind of gives you an idea of somehow, and I say this with the utmost respect, vacuous, the whole sort of like movie industry and that sort of like world can be. It must it must be a challenge to be like, okay, you know what, not to get sucked into that type of thing. Like, how do you manage to like navigate these like dark waters?
I just don't like it. That's my answer. It's probably really simple. It's just like I when someone is like so egotistical like that, it's just like, ugh, just wake me up when this is over. It's just like, and I've gone to a lot of these networking things, and there's just this need for self-importance from people. And I get it. You got to pump yourself up at times. You gotta I'm not saying that you shouldn't have confidence in yourself, but some of these people just go over the board with it, and it's just like it's just so fake, and it's just so exhausting. And you don't even want to be around it, because a lot of this industry is not about the red carpet or the glitz or the glamour. It's about the
Mm.
work. It's about the grind. It's about the trying to get uh $5 out of a nickel. So it's just, yeah, that's what it's really about. And people misconstrue it for something that it's not.
Mm. I hear you. I hear you. Like, this is the thing. Like, would you sort of consider, say, just like doing stuff for online, like say for you YouTubes and stuff like this, so it sort of takes you out of that sort of world, that sort of like, but in your sort of own universe kind of well, way of things.
Like, would I consider being like a YouTuber?
Like, not just like not a YouTuber, but a filmmaker, which predominantly focuses putting on all your material onto say YouTube.
Um,
There's a difference in my mind.
yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. I
Mm.
don't know. I mean, I I think YouTube is, this is probably going to offend some people, but whatever. But I think YouTube is somewhat of a dumping ground. It's just like, I'll make this and da 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 da, and onto YouTube, and and
How dare you? How dare
how dare you?
how dare
uh, but I will say there is some great content on YouTube. Um, but ultimately speaking, I don't know if that is something that I'd be interested in, because you work so hard to get this film made, and unless you're like Mr. Beast, or someone that's got like crazy amount of subscriptions and stuff, it's really hard to monetize your project when you put it on YouTube. um I have a YouTube channel, and no one even goes there. So it's just one day
I
when I
went there.
blow up, it will, people will go and they were like, that's what he was talking about. We got the receipts now, Jason. But
Yeah.
uh yeah, it's I don't know. It's just I think it's hard. I mean, I don't know. Uh
Yeah. No, it's one of those things, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah, we live in a sort of attention grabbing age, and like, yeah, trying to sort of get out there in front of the masses. Um, there's been a greater array of options at this moment in time to get out there. And yeah, when you mention, yeah, YouTube being a dumping ground, it can be filled with a lot of noise. Uh, but it's one of those things where, yeah, you ultimately have control and freedom a lot more on, say, a medium like YouTube than like sometimes where you've got to play politics, let's just say, in the sort of like, yeah, movie production realm, I would imagine. And sometimes, yeah,
and
egos have to be stroked.
I'll say this, and this is probably more controversial too, but if I were a female that was semi attractive, I would definitely be on YouTube. Because there's so many simps out there, and it's just like, I think that it would be I think it would be an easier go at it, because I think that there's a lot of brilliant female directors. I've seen more than I can count on both hands and toes on. Um,
Mm,
but I do notice that uh, if you have like an Instagram account and the ones that get the most hits are most predominantly females.
Yeah.
And there are some outliers like I'm sure like Andrew Tate gets like a crazy amount of views or whatever. But
Yeah.
um, if you are somewhat attractive and you got some pow and you got some boom, then you got instant views, instant attraction, instant audience, and that's why they start these OnlyFans and they get like I see stories where teachers get $60,000 a year and they say, well, I'm going to do OnlyFans, and then they go up to like $3 million a year, and it's just like there's a reason for it.
Yeah, but this is the thing with regards to something like OnlyFans. It's, how can I say? It is a misguide. I think it's misguiding to basically, because it sort of focuses on like, yeah, these have been the successful few. And like you hear the stories of like ladies taking pictures of their feet and like, you know what I mean, getting tens of thousands of dollars. Like, yeah. But I would say for the vast majority of any lady what goes down that path, they're not going to get that money. They're not going to get that bag. There'll be a large percentage which are just out there in the ether, like hopefully not doing anything too extreme now, because you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of them will like come by the wayside and not really hit those marks they potentially want.
Well, I've seen I've seen profiles where you don't see the lady's head. You see her
Hmm.
from the neck down to about here, and then you know what the focal point is.
Oh yeah.
And this particular account has 1.5 million followers, and then you say, oh, okay. Then uh, you go to the link, and then they got the link tree, and then they got
Mm.
OnlyFans, and all the stuff, and somebody's going there.
It's like, Jason, is there anything you want to tell us? You,
Yeah, yeah.
you stay informed.
Just get my money. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I have been known to look at some of these accounts from time to time. So
Purely for
sorry,
research.
mom.
Moving on swiftly. Oh, love it. But like, this is the thing that with some of the way sometimes I see like some like female like movie directors are given certain jobs, it's like they've been sometimes set up to fail, because it's just like you go, okay, you've been doing this body of work, and now you've given them this to do, which has no sort of bearing or relevance to what they've done in the past. It's like it's like telling someone to who's spoken Dutch all their life to all of a sudden now speak Mandarin.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, away you go. And it's like, okay, and they fail. And they're surprised at this. it,
You know what's a good example of that? And this is not like a dig on this director, but because you know how the media is just like Jayson Johnson, you 15 years ago, you said this about this, and so it's just like I want to dispel that, even though they'll take one piece of this and one piece of that, and whatever.
yeah.
But uh, Chloe Zhao made Nomadland, and
Hmm.
it won an Oscar, and it was great. And then her next project, she was given The Marvels, where you know she was like this small independent filmmaker, and then she went to making this big blockbuster film with all of these actors and actresses that have big egos and blah 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 blah, and
Mm,
so that she makes this film, The Eternals, and it's kind of like it's almost like it's made in the vein of her independent films, and people were saying that it was kind of boring to watch and they didn't really know what was going on, and that works for independent projects that are like about like this character study, but once you get to like big blockbuster films, that type of
mm,
filmmaking doesn't quite work. So
yeah,
I feel like Disney set her up to fail by telling her, you know, we want you to do this project. And then they just probably threw the bank at her. They're like, you're going to get all this, make it rain on her. And so
yeah,
it's hard to say no, but it's just like, uh, I think that is a good example of, setting someone up to fail.
yeah. Because it's one of those things. How can I put it? It's making a blockbuster or an action film. It's a weird skill set and talent which you need for it, which I can't really sort of like, oh, you need this, 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 this. It's like, yeah, you need a blend of like being able to hold the audience, get to the next straight like bit of action and everything like this, and like, oh, right, and do it in a quality way. Because look, let's just say we've all seen bargain basement like DVDs of like some god awful action film where it's like, yeah, doesn't work.
Yeah.
But it's just like, yeah, just go do a blockbuster. How? It's like it's very hard. It's very difficult.
Yeah. So there's a reason why James Cameron was able to make Titanic work.
Mm.
And then there's a reason why a little known film called Speed 2, which was about a runaway vacation liner boat.
Yes, I'm very aware of Speed too.
So,
Oh,
those are two stories that they're action films, in a way. I would guess Titanic is more of a drama that has a lot of action in it, but Speed 2 was a action film, and they're both involved very large boats, and one was a absolute blockbuster runaway, and one was just like this complete piece of shit. So it's just like,
bad way to talk about Titanic.
yeah. No, 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 no. Titanic was amazing. It was just like, but it's just like, uh, and I actually learn a lot. I love watching bad movies. I would choose a bad movie over a good movie on most days because I want to learn from the mistakes that they made, and I can't really learn a lot off of like this flawless movie because I'm like watching it and like, how did they do that? So it's just, but on a bad movie, you could watch it and be like, oh, continuity error, bad
Yes,
acting, bad
yes.
lighting, So yeah, so it's a good way to learn.
Ah, love it, love it. Like, oh, Titanic, poor Titanic.
Hmm.
now, now, have to ask. Now, if you had the opportunity, say, to do one episode for a TV show, which TV show would you choose and why?
So I would probably this is going back in time. I would have loved to have filmed an episode of The Wire. Um,
Choice. Yeah.
and then I'd also like to do an episode of Breaking Bad, and I have different reasons for both of them. But starting with The Wire, I
Yeah.
thought the characters were just immaculately written, and it had like this fantastic mix of non-actors, because a lot of those actors, they had just kind of found that they had charisma, and they figured
Mm,
that that charisma could translate to screen, which it did. and then they had like professional actors that worked quite a lot. So I just love the story. I've been to Baltimore a couple times and just really love the setup and just how they were able to seamlessly um, talk about Baltimore on so many different levels and how it all
Mm.
tied together just so seamlessly. And it just loved it. It's still the number one film series in my eye. So yeah, The Wire without a doubt.
Yeah, no, like oh, The Wire. As I say, that is like an excellent like TV show, an excellent TV show because the whole structure of The Wire, they went okay. We're gonna do this, and like we're gonna like take it through each and every time. And then what I loved about it would always bring in a couple of characters towards like say the last two episodes, the last three episodes, and you're like, oh, okay, who's this person? It's like they do one or two key things, but you're like, and they did you think nothing of it, and then it's like, yeah, they are one of the key players for the next like season. Like basically when it goes from the police force to the schools, then like yeah, to like the politics, the media, all of it. It was just like sublime, like French kiss, as they say.
Yeah.
Like it was for me. Like I've never like for my sins, I've never seen The Sopranos. So like, yeah, don't hold that against me, people out there. But yeah, but for like film, like cinematic TV show production, The Wire's the pinnacle for me. And
Yeah.
then like yeah,
Yeah. I don't even think it's any close with the Sopranos. I mean, I think that was a great show, and um, I recently learned that Tony gets whacked at the end episode. He actually does get whacked. So if you haven't watched it, then they don't show it obviously, but it's inferred, and then the creator went on and finally said that happened, but yeah, I just don't think that's close because in The Wire you even care about the people that you're not supposed to care about, like when um like we should not like Omar. Omar is a mass murderer. uh you know um but
yeah.
you cannot help but to love that character because the way that he's played, the way that he's written, the his motivation, etc. you know uh we shouldn't like Prop Joe. We damn sure shouldn't like Marlo. And there's times where it's just like I couldn't help but to think of what's he gonna do next. So it's just like, um, yeah, I don't think that I've ever watched a show where I was that vested in almost every damn character.
Mm. But like this is the thing with regards to The Wire, it was superb character development. Seeing like them grow their motivations, like what like made them all tick. And you could just like there were some people you could go, the writing's on the wall. But plot twist, it was like, wait a second. Like something comes completely out of the blue. Like if like there are a few shows which I can like go, yeah, can like sit down and literally watch back to back to back to back to back to episodes. The Wire is one of them, and like yeah, I would say Game of Thrones is another. Like, but yeah, it's just and Breaking Bad.
You're
Yeah.
you're you're gonna people are gonna be mad because I've never watched Game of Thrones.
Oh, you know what? Look, you
It's
know what? We're
terrible.
like, look, like we can both be ridiculed together.
Yeah.
Like me from Sopranos, you for Game of
Like, oh,
Thrones. As I go, yeah. All I've got to say is, woo! Like the first season of Game of Thrones, I watched the first two episodes, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna like save this up.
yeah.
Like
It's
all all at once and go, "Oh my god, that was amazing!" By season three, I couldn't do that anymore because it was just like, okay, yeah, one of my friends who shall remain nameless, just like, yeah, if you saw a post come up on Facebook, you had to avoid them. He was like, no, cannot read that. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, amount of times I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, oh,
Yeah.
but very good. Like, would you ever consider doing TV with everything which is going on, like when everything calms down, or is that like,
If I had the right opportunity, 100%. And I'm the type of guy that um the mob is eventually going to come for me. They're gonna put me on the stake and they're gonna try to burn me to a crisp. But I don't care. It's just like I'm not afraid of the mob, and it's just like I feel that as a creator, you can't
mhm,
you cannot do the formulaic stuff that if I say this, it's going to offend this person. If I don't have this body positivity girl in here, then they're not going to feel included. Squash all that. It's just like, come on. People want just good content, and they want to watch something that they can be completely engrossed in and not be preached to. They don't I don't think people want to hear about the politics. I don't think people want to hear about the um how this person is marginalized, or any of that. It's just like, um if going back to Omar, it would have been so much different if he was a character on The Wire that his first trait was gay. Yeah, he was gay, right?
mm,
So it's just like, here comes Omar, do. I'm gay, by the way. It's just like, uh, and then that's kind of the vehicle for getting Omar across. But the thing that was brilliant about him was they established him as this ruthless, you know, um, robber that robbed drug dealers, who was the most dangerous people to rob, and then they
yeah,
made him gay, and it's just like, that's what real storytelling is. I feel like Disney makes people gay in their first, and then they have like the character development after that. And I think that's wrong. I think that that is pandering to a certain crowd, and it's disingenuous, and I don't think people really want to see that. It doesn't matter if someone is gay. It does matter if you stick someone in just to check a box.
yeah. No, like this is the thing. There's many things what can be said about that, and like this is like, hey, like, if the mob comes for you, they come for me as well. But yeah, what I would simply say with a lot of Hollywood material, from what I've seen over the last few days, like well, over the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years, if you watch a WB show, right? Yes, they'll have a black character in there, and that character will be more times than not be a gay character as well, just so they can tick that box. And like you'll be like, yes, they're gay, and then they will work from that. When it should be the character development, build a good person, like build a good character, and then like okay, then you can sort of flesh them out with okay, this is their preference. This might be their kink. This is where they belong in the world. But I think too much of Hollywood will has been just leaning towards this is the identity rather than sort of like this is the character, if you get what I mean.
Yep,
And yeah, and
100%.
that's where I think they've basically been like a lot of Hollywood is falling short today, and that's why a number of people will be like, thank you, but I'm not taking a number of the stuff you're producing because, hey, that's the way it's been.
Yeah.
And
You know what's interesting is my girlfriend grew up with Barbie, loving Barbie, and I remember
mhm,
the first time that I went to go see her. She took me to the
yeah,
Barbie Museum. So this is how much this girl loves Barbie. So
she is
she
in.
she's like she's a Barbie fan, just like just crazy. So um I saw when I saw that the Barbie movie was coming out, I instantly sent
Mm,
her, the link to the trailer. So she was excited, so she got excited, and then, as time went on, she finally wanted to go see it. She went to go see it opening weekend, probably the first night. And
mm.
so then the next day, I call her up. I said, how was the movie? And she said, I didn't like it.
Oh,
And I said, what? How could you not like the movie? And she said, well, it it wasn't really about Barbie. It was really about the feminist message that they were trying to get across. And I was just like, wow, I thought that was really incredible because this is a lifelong fan of Barbie,
mm,
and she's a female, and she's just I don't know. I don't see how you have a lifelong fan that goes into the expectation that uh, she's going to watch a film about the lore, the history, and just you know the exciting thing about being Barbie, and then comes across as indifferent. So it's
mm.
just it was. I thought that was really interesting, but you know, I should say she's not a feminist, and which thank God for that. Uh, and and
The mob is gonna come for you. What?
yeah, great, great. Um, but it's just that people want good stories. They don't need subliminal messages. Because if I've watched a lot of the reviews on the film. I haven't watched it myself, so I still need to go and have an opinion of the film myself. But essentially, the film is about in Barbie Land, all of the females are in power of sorts. They rule the government. They have all the top jobs, and
Yeah,
the Kens are relegated to um, mundane things like going to the beach and stuff like that. They have no power whatsoever.
yeah,
And then once Barbie realizes that she's going through some changes, she goes into the real world and finds that in the real world it's somewhat different, and the patriarchy is you know toxic masculinity, and one of the first things, she gets her ass smacked on the beach, and it's just like it depicts men in like these in this ridiculous over the top, like men are cavemen, we only harass women, we're toxic masculinity, and all this stuff. And uh
mm,
so once Ken in the film realizes that he's getting some respect, he takes that back to Barbie Land, and now the Kens have some. They're not in charge of things, but
mhm.
they have some rights, and Barbie tries to take away those rights again, which she does, and then that's pretty much the film. So it's just like you know I can kind of understand why she didn't like that film, because it's just like she wants to just go into, see the feminine aspects of Barbie, and
Mm,
how great it is to be a feminine woman, uh and feminine women playing their feminine roles, and then men have masculine roles. But it's like in this day and age, it's like I don't need no man, and that's just like it's just like, we'll get a dog and get a dog or cat and get out of here, you know. So it's just like it's exhausting.
Yeah, no, like this is the thing. I think, and like, if we're talking about like extreme feminism and like the whole red pill like sort of realm of things, it's like I, I sometimes, no, not sometimes. Many of the times, I don't get it when like either party's like going, yeah, we don't need each other. Like it's about using manipulation. It's like it makes no sense to me because in order to get through this world of ours, this crazy topsy turvy world, if you find someone you can you know what I mean, love and care for and be with, and they also love and care and like for you as well, yeah, it's not designed to be a solo mission. It's meant like it's minimum. It's the two of you, and then the rest of your family about you.
Yeah,
If you can't, yeah, if you can't have the family, it should be like yeah, whoever the two is, like and take it from there, and then basically build from that, and yeah, take on the world together or as collectively as a family.
yeah,
And I think many of the times where you hear the rhetoric, what comes out of both parties, which honestly, I can't stand with regards to that. It is toxic, polluting, and yeah, it just tears down each side with no real winners, to say the least.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree. You know, I think love is a beautiful thing, and I do think that I'm just gonna say I'm a Christian. I grew up,
Mhm.
and I believe you know, marriage is between a man and a female. You know, and you know that's what the Bible says. I'm gonna stick to it. So it's just like uh, I told God that I'm going to stay true to His word.
Mhm.
I'm not going to bend to the mob and what they want me to do or what's politically correct because you know y'all can take that and just do whatever with it. You know, I guess I can get explicit with it, but don't need to. But um, that's ultimately, you know, the type of stories that I'm going to tell, and those are the morals I'm going to stand on. So it's just
Mm.
like, but you know, love is a beautiful thing, and you know, there's nothing wrong with having a family. There's nothing wrong with, you know, if a woman wants to get a job, great. If she wants to stay at home and raise kids, that's great too. You know, it's just I think that's a decision that you make together, and then you try to make the best life you can out of this crazy world, and that's I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. No, it must be. How can I put? Uh, Now, saying you're a Christian and like you know what I mean with traditional views and everything like this. Like okay, many people will go, yes, you're a conservative right person. Just like yeah, but how I've always found it, and especially if you're like if you there's going to be some things you're going to be on the right on, there's going to be some things you're going to be on the left on.
Mm.
Like and basically there are like yeah people which are going to be more realist about everything like if you were to describe yourself how would you describe yourself with sort of any particular leanings.
Um, I think I've gone through a transformation, red pill, or whatever you want to call it, but I will tell you this.
Mm,
In 2016, I was working for this film production company, and
okay.
I was aspiring to be my own director, be my own man. And
Hmm.
while I worked the 40 hours Monday through Friday, um, and was subservient to my supervisor and supervisor above that supervisor, everything was fine. But then when I aspired to become my higher self by borrowing equipment and renting and making films on the weekends, then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden that got to be like, what are you doing? It was almost like you're breaking out of the matrix. And um, I noticed that caused a rift in my film career, because I was breaking out of uh, the mold that they had set for me. And similarly, in around 2016, this is where it's really going to get crazy, and I'm definitely canceled. But I noticed that when I stepped out of the mold of being liberal and said, this Donald Trump guy is saying things that um, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him in rap videos. I remember him hanging out with Oprah and getting awards from the NCAAP and et cetera, et cetera. And now all of a sudden they're saying that he's racist. But I remember that doesn't quite make sense, because I can remember things more than past 5 minutes ago. So
Mm.
what I'm saying is I took that I took that step to saying, hey, this guy is making some sense. He's
Okay.
kind of funny. I kind of like what he's saying. And then as soon as I said, I like how this guy thinks, I immediately got attacked. I immediately got blackballed by the industry. I immediately said, oh, well, Jayson Johnson, you can't work on any films unless you denounce this guy. And that made
Mm.
me move from being a little tiny bit conservative to a lot more conservative, because people were trying to tell me what I could do and who I could like and what I can believe, etc. So I say all that. I know that was kind of long winded, but I'm definitely a lot more conservative. But it was it was because of the pressure campaign that people put onto me, and they wanted to assign their beliefs to me, uh,
Mm.
because I didn't live up to the um, idea that they had for me in film and or in politics.
Yeah, no, I can. This is the thing. I think when it comes to the sort of a film industry as a whole, because it is like saying a liberal cabal would maybe a little bit too extreme, but it's so sort of like down that path that I think it's come down to okay. Whereas I don't know, maybe the 90s was kind of the sort of last sort of remnants of being able to tell a balanced story, if you get what I mean, without sort of just like drifting down one particular message. I think Hollywood has got itself too fixed in one position where it should be able to go from one side to the other. Like this is the thing, like as I say, like there are certain things where yeah, people will lean like conservative, there's certain things people will lean liberal with regard to it. And it's always going to be a mix. But Hollywood, I think, in many like for many projects, has gone too far, like down the liberal path and not being able to see like the balance in it all to tell like some really good stories. It's just, I think, I don't know if it's just a captured thing or it's just they say one they and that's the thing what sometimes gets me about Hollywood because they'll go like they'll say the liberal thing and like oh yeah this is what it's all about but they are very conservative so it's like yeah very hypocritical if you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. I just it's just like it's impossible to tell a good story when you are shoehorned into these categories and like uh things that like they want you to kind of like take on. Like, did you know that, like, let's say we make a period piece about um I don't know, Conan the Barbarian. Let's say
Okay.
that's it's a true story, and uh Conan the Barbarian in that time, everybody was white. You know, it's just or better yet, Vikings. Vikings, everyone is white, and we make a masterpiece of a film, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no black or brown people in it. It can't qualify for the Oscars. It can't qualify for Best Picture because by their standards, it has to have someone black or brown in it. And it's just like, well, that's not historically correct, you know?
Mm.
And it's just like this is madness and people are signing up for it. And it's just like going and having terrible coffee and saying, "Oh, this is fine. This is delicious." And in the whole time you're like, "This coffee is shit." But I'm going to put on a false front and say this is delicious. And these filmmakers know that this is not right. It's just like, how can you make a good film project when it's based on these like unrealistic standards? It's just it's hard to be creative, and I think this is going to be the downfall of Hollywood.
Hmm. So, like I hear your frustration in your voice, like of what your journey's been, and like yeah, I've I can tell there's been some long hard road with it all. Like w- what you say, this most probably be the downfall of Hollywood. Like you want to make films. It's what you love to do. Everything like this. So, what do you think might be its salvation?
Well, I hope I'm wrong on that, but I will say that if they continue down this path, making stuff like uh, Obi-Wan Kenobi series and uh, Secret Invasion, or, just the typical Disney crap. Um,
Hmm.
then there's really not going to be an audience because when you try to please everyone, you just end up offending everybody. And I think um, the one saving thing for Hollywood will be if they return to making great films. They stop. They take the politics out of it. They take the quotas out of it, and they just concentrate on making good content. And I do believe that they'll get there because we get glimpses of hope with like films like Oppenheimer. That
Hmm.
was magnificent. Christopher Nolan is like uh, he is a godsend. It's just like the way that he makes these projects, and he doesn't really he doesn't follow the formula. He's not trying to do a whole bunch of um, special effects. I love that he does in camera and realistic effects. He shoots on film, and his ideas are bigger than life. Uh, you think about it, how can he take something that is like he makes a film about a scientist that makes a bomb, uh, and we don't see the bomb detonate over Hiroshima, um, so it's not like it's an action film really. It's really just a historical drama, and he makes it a blockbuster, and it almost grossed $1 billion. So
Mm.
that tells you right there, people want to see good shit. They don't want to see this diversity stuff. It's been crammed down our throats with like a shovel, and then your mouth is pried open, and they're just shoveling it in, and people are just tired of it. So I do think that the woke has jumped the shark at this point, and I'm hoping that um, I'm hoping that we just return to just good filmmaking again.
Mm. I hear you. And like this is the thing. I have to ask, what is your salvation?
As far as a filmmaker, uh,
Like, yeah, like human being.
I just, this is probably gonna sound corny, but it's just like I just have to believe that uh, I believe a long time ago God gave me this dream
Mhm.
that I could be a filmmaker, and then He started opening doors, and it's definitely been a hard journey for me, but I that is my salvation, and the idea of hope that I can become what I've aspired to be over this time period, and that I stay true to myself as far as the stories that I want to tell, and not get bought up into the hype or the idea of you know fame and all that stuff that doesn't even matter. You know, it would make me really happy if I could have a career, make really great films, and that do well at the box office, and then nobody knows who the hell I am. I wouldn't mind that at all. I don't need people coming up to me, with the camera. It's just like, you know, who cares about that? And I'm sure that there's people that really long for that, but
Mm.
I think that would be the most terrible thing that could happen. It's just like you couldn't go out and grab a cup of coffee. You couldn't go on a walk with your girlfriend or your kids or anything. Without someone being invasive to your privacy. It's just that would be terrible.
No, I hear you. I hear you. No, like okay, wow. Like I didn't know. Like with this being part two, I did not know if we would last this long, and it's been a good. It's been a good minute. And I'm sorry to say, it's gonna cut. This good minute's coming to an end, but I've got to ask this one last thing.
Yep.
What was the like? What was the last thing what brought you gratitude, joy in this world?
Um, Definitely moments like this. It's like this is y- this is this is really exciting for me because a lot of this started as just a maybe it can happen.
Mhm.
Uh, maybe I can have a career. Maybe uh, things could pop off. So it was just really a dream, and to have the opportunity to um, have and see some of that dream kind of come to fruition, I'm really grateful for that. I think that um, it's really it's really not about the destination. It's really about the journey. As your podcast is day in and day out, and it's just seeing the highlights and then the lowlights, because it's definitely a struggle, but I'm grateful for it all, and I'm thankful to even have this opportunity to talk to you about filmmaking and just my opinions in life, and I don't take any of this for granted.
Mm. No, you know what? I appreciate you being here today. Like your insight, like your insights and views on what's going on with the cinema, like with the film industry, and yeah, just general conversation. It's been a delight and pleasure to have you on today, Jason. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Look, come on. Look, like I don't know how many podcasts you've done, but yeah, you've been great today. Fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
I have no, it's all good, man. It's all love, all love. I have like, how would people be able to find you out on these interwebs? How would they get in contact with you?
um Yeah, so that's a complicated thing because I'm terrible at social media. But a lot of times find that you can just do a Google search and you should be able to find some remnants of me online, which will take me to the greater place of my website. But if you Google my name, Jayson Johnson, and it's spelled Jayson Johnson, and maybe even put filmmaker, then you'll find a lot of this mug here, and you'll be able to find me online. And eventually, I'll get off of my butt and do a JaysonJohnson.com. But I noticed that someone bought the rights to that website, and they want a ridiculous amount of money for me to acquire that. And it's just like, so yeah, so once like a Sony or whatever, I'm gonna say I'll sign on to the job, but you gotta like, pay for this website, and then then we can do it. So so
Fair enough. Fair enough. Look, don't worry. I'll make sure. Look, I'll make sure you'll get more traffic your way. Yes, I'll put like all of the details into the show notes. So yeah, please, my friends, my life warriors, track down Jayson, and yeah, go to him, give him some support. Jayson, I have to say thank you for coming on today. You're a superstar. I'm loving it.
thank you. As you are you too. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the audience for listening, and yeah, I'm gonna catch up with y'all soon enough. You'll see your boy out there.
Excellent, excellent. I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us to all the way to the end of the show. Please remember, please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic, be all the positive bees you can be in this world, and then some. Have a great day, guys.